Alright, hey guys, Pax, welcome back to another Pokemon Pocket video. As the title states, we're going to be going over Gholengo EX. This Pokemon is a ton of fun. Requires a lot of RNG, but could potentially nuke your opponent's whole board. So this is the card right here, HP 150, stage 1. Has 1 attack, requires only 1 energy to attack, spending Rush. One of your opponent's Pokemon is chosen at random. For each metal energy attached to this Pokemon, for each time a Pokemon was chosen, do 40 damage to it. So in other words, this card is very similar to non-EX Dragonite as well as Slugma. Again, requires a lot of RNG as well as a lot of buildup. If you have 5 energy attached, you are doing 200 damage all around the board. And 6 energy plus 40 more, so on and so forth. This is the deck list right here. It's also in the top left, as you can see. If this is your first video on my channel, really do consider if you like and subscribe. It really does help me out, especially as a small-time content creator. And without further ado, let's get right in to the deck showcase. All right, first battle, going second up against the Bellibolt EX / Tapu Koko EX solo deck. Again, if you guys are new to my deck showcases, first battle isn't really meant to be too hard, more so just to get the feel for the deck. So ideally, you do want to lead with either the Earthworms or the 1 copy of Shingling, and just basically start building your Gimmighoul in your bench. Feeding this coin chest Pokemon as much as you can. You got a Pokeball. Next turn, we can evolve into Gholengo, which is pretty good. Got Shingling. Once this Earthworm dies, you could summon another one. Keep on feeding Gholengo, basically charging a Spirit Bomb. Again, the more energy this guy has, the stronger your damage output will become around the board. So you could just nuke your opponent. If you get like hypothetically like 15 energy, you could potentially win after attacking. You can get like 2-3 points, maybe even freaking whatever, like 6 points. It really is up to RNG though, but yeah, very straightforward. So just feed Earthworm, Iron Supply, and basically do this for the next several turns. Just feed Gimmighoul and our turn. We do have a Metal Core Barrier. Damn, Ionoed, okay. But yeah, I've seen people run Heavy Helmet instead of that Poketool. In my opinion, Metal Core Barrier is far more valuable, primarily because Heavy Helmet only applies to Pokemon with a retreat cost of 3 or higher, and looking at Gholengo, only has 2. So in this deck, Heavy Helmet only applies to Earthworm, whereas Metal Core Barrier applies to both Earthworm as well as Gholengo. This Poketool is absolutely amazing, especially depending on the matchups, especially going up against decks that chip the bench. So like decks such as like Suicune Greninja, even the new Meowscarada EX. And okay, I could Professor, but to just disrupt my opponent a little bit more, I'm a Sabrina. One thing notable about this deck is that it has no Cyrus because you really don't need it. So yeah, just feed Gholengo, Iron Supply, and just keep on doing this. Keep on charging this golden French fry. All right, next turn, Bellibolt can attack, doing 140, absolutely one-shotting Earthworm, which is why this will be pretty nice if we can get another Earthworm. All right, we can definitely work with this. So Lucky Ice Pop, healing a bit of damage, and hopefully you can get heads. Perfect, nice. So we can still use it our following turns. Metal Core Barrier. This will make it so that Earthworm will survive 1 attack from Bellibolt. Again, just kind of maximizing the energy. So once again, feed Gholengo and just keep on charging up. Next turn, I have 5 energy attached, so I am doing 200 damage around the board. And this guy is still rather tanky. Has HP of 150. So unless my opponent does red, this guy should be able to survive an attack from Bellibolt. And looking at my opponent's board, this is going to be very juicy. Mesagoza, this will be huge if we can get another Earthworm. No, that's pretty rough, but I want a copycat. So I do want a second copy of Earthworm. Very unlikely. This is kind of a stupid choice, but I want that Earthworm, please. Damn. Actually, hold up. Pokeball. Okay. That Earthworm, the other one, is definitely in the deck. It just doesn't want to come out, but nevertheless, we can definitely chill like this. So just keep on feeding. Your opponent at this point is probably just quaking at their boots. Rest in peace, Worm. But we can get a second copy, potentially. So with that being said, temporarily sub in Shingling. Okay, damn, that's rough. My last Pokemon is that Earthworm. So at this point, screw it. 1 more turn. This should be fine unless my opponent does Sabrina. But they have only 1 card in their hand. They Sabrina. Okay. That's pretty rough, but there's still hope. We're at 10 HP. 8 energy attached. This will be juicy. So if I knock out the Bellibolt as well as probably the Zeraora, I win. All right, here we go. I probably should have placed this Gimmighoul, but 9 energy attached. It's making it a little bit more intense. I didn't have to, but that was totally intentional. Here we go. Okay, GG. Just like that. Absolutely decimating my opponent. This deck is something. Again, requires a lot of RNG. I could have easily just lost right there, but yeah, just don't underestimate this guy. This guy is a ticking time bomb. Could win you the game, and overall is a ton of fun. And with that being said, we shall see how this deck performs in PvP. All right, here we are in our second battle of PvP. Yep, this is the second battle. The first battle was absolutely legendary. I was going against a Suicune Ex Greninja deck, and my opponent couldn't touch my Gholengo EX because of Protective Poncho, making it so that non-EX Greninja can't do damage to the Gholengo in the bench. And it was a sight to see. It was a sight to behold. Definitely one of the best battles I've had in a deck showcase. It was insane. And then at the end of the battle, I quickly realized that I wasn't recording. I totally forgot to press record. Am I recording right now? I am recording. Okay, that's good. Because, yeah, that was such a good battle. But of course, I had a YouTube moment. Yeah, that was pretty rough. The interesting opponent is using Gyarados. Non-EX Gyarados. This guy could potentially hit like a truck. Does Copycat, getting a bit more cards. Suicune, Mantike. This might be a very fast battle, okay. Opponent is going to one-shot Earthworm. It's not over. It's not over. Yeah, but it's looking very grim. At this point, all we could do is this. Might as well Copycat. Honestly, I'm going to do this. Metal Core Barrier will do absolutely nothing since Chingling isn't Metal type, but I'm just kind of thinning my deck. Using Copycat, hopefully we can get another Earthworm. Okay, nice. This should be a guaranteed Earthworm. Yeah, we're just gonna chill like this. Feed this guy. Iron Supply, keep on feeding Gholengo. Next turn, Gholengo can do a max of 120 damage. And keep in mind, if my opponent only has one Pokemon on the field, all my damage will be directed to that one Pokemon. So in this case, Gyarados does get Lucky Ice Pop, so it's very awkward. Because even if I do max damage onto this Gyarados, this guy will be surviving with 10 HP. So this is probably like one of the worst matchups you can probably have. I'm still very pissed off about that Suicune Greninja fight. It was definitely one of the best fights I've had in a while. So yeah, with that being said, just trust me on this. Okay, opponent. Okay, nice. Actually doesn't one-shot Earthworm. And we have Lucky Ice Pop. If you can get Metal Core Barrier. Ooh, okay. This could be juicy. Yeah, might as well Metal Core. This will make it so my opponent will have to discard 2 Pokemon to do max damage. So once again, just keep on feeding Gholengo. If my opponent discards their whole bench, this will be huge. So next turn, Gholengo is doing a max of 200, absolutely one-shotting this Gyarados. Lucky Ice Pops, but it doesn't matter. Opponent places their whole board down. Okay, doesn't sacrifice any of their Pokemon. That's pretty cool because now Copycat. At this point, keep on feeding Gholengo. You want to just keep on feeding this guy. One thing to note is that this Gyarados does a max of 140. Could potentially one-shot Gholengo, especially paired with red. But nevertheless, I believe. Just keep on feeding this Gholengo. Might as well Lucky Ice Pop Earthworm. This guy's at 80 HP. This will make it so that my opponent will have to sacrifice 2 Pokemon to one-shot Earthworm. So yes, once again, just keep on feeding. Keep on building. Opponent just keeps on healing with Lucky Ice Pop, but it doesn't matter. Because I could just win next turn. Okay, wow. Just totally blue balling me. Opponent concedes. But you see how this works. Next turn, if I did sub in Gholengo, I would be doing an insane amount of damage. It was essentially checkmate at that point. Next battle going first, up against Mega Mawile. Okay, 19 trainer Mega Mawile. So keep in mind, if this is a 19 trainer deck, all my damage will be directed to Mega Mawile. Okay. This is going to be a battle of wits right here. Alright, so let's do this. Tempted to Copycat, but I might as well do it next turn. Alright, here we go. We are chilling like this. Alright, so I Copycatted, opponent fed Mega Mawile. Alright, this is going to be rather juicy. So subbing out of Chingling into Earthworm, Metal Core Barrier, feed Earthworm, and just, once again, very straightforward. Keep on feeding Gholengo EX. So looking at this battle, once Gholengo EX has 5 energy attached, it's basically GG. My opponent actually can't do anything. So Lucky Ice Pops, but in the grand scheme of things, yeah, doesn't matter. It's red cards, sure, disrupts me a little bit, but my side of the field is already set. Does repel, but look at that. Yes. This is gonna be rather juicy. At this point, I might as well place a second copy of Gimmickle. They did repel. They might have a Sabrina as well. So once again, very straightforward. Keep on feeding Gholengo. Opponent does Team Rocket Grunt. Oh boy, okay. Trying to calculate this because if they have a middle core barrier themselves, then we might need more energy. Yeah, that Team Rocket Grunt might have lost us the game. We shall see, but for now, once again, Iron Supply. I could Lucky Ice Pop, but it won't really make much of a difference. So after attacking this turn, this guy can one-shot Gimmighoul. So if they Metal Core Barrier this turn, I basically lost. Opponent is thinking long and hard. Does the Metal Core Barrier? GG. Please don't surrender, because I would love to see this. So yes, this guy is doing a max of 200. Here we go. Second copy Gholengo. Leaf Cape. Okay. You gotta love getting Blue Ball. I would have absolutely decimated that Mega Mawile. If my opponent Metal Core Barriered, I would have lost. Alright, next battle. I'm going to do a few more battles after this. Overall, having a ton of fun. This is not how you want to lead the battle. Gimmighoul going first. We are going second, so when it comes to energy, we are getting a little bit of an advantage. But yeah, ideally, you do want to lead with either the Worms or Chingling. Opponent evolves into Leafeon. This might be a very fast battle, but we do have a Pokeball, so it's not over. You can definitely chill like this. So let's do that. Very scary. I could still lose, especially if my opponent does Sabrina. Not feeding this turn. Very awkward. So yeah, this is why, again, if you have Gimmighoul in your active slot turn 1, it's going to be very hard to bounce back. That guy most likely will get knocked out. You might as well start building a second copy in your bench. Opponent feeds Leafeon EX, only doing 20 damage. Does quicker extract into Dolliv. Perfect. We got a second copy of Metal Core Barrier. At this point, evolve into Gholengo. Lucky Ice Pop. Getting heads, nice. But at this point, I might as well copycat. Not getting too much value, but hopefully we can get a second copy of Earthworm on the field so that we can just keep on feeding Gholengo. So here we go. We got Leaf and another Earthworm. Nice. And the reason why I'm running one copy of Leaf, in order to provide a fast retreat, because looking at Earthworm requires 3 energy, this Pokemon will be fed 1 energy. So you could Leaf and then sub in to Gholengo EX. You could replace Leaf with something else, but I'm just running this primarily just in case I don't get a Protective Poncho like right here. So if my opponent is targeting a Gholengo EX in the bench and is doing chip damage with either non-EX Greninja or even, of course, Meowscarada EX, I could just Leaf, sub in Gholengo and start attacking from there. So yeah, just taking our time, pretty much. Metal Core Barrier coming in clutch. This guy will survive most likely 1 more turn. I'm a Lucky Ice Pop just in case. I don't really have to. Okay, it's gone. Rest in peace. Just in case my opponent does decide to EV bag. Here we go. Very straightforward. And we're just playing it like this. So once this guy gets knocked out, sub in the other guy. Once that guy gets knocked out, sub in Gholengo. Just keep on getting this guy built. He's essentially a ticking time bomb. Damn, my opponent does sub into Ogerpon, one-shotting Earthworm. Very scary, but it doesn't matter. We got a second copy in our bench. So doing 120, rest in peace. You gotta love worms. You gotta love these worms. They really are a pretty good energy support for metal type. I can very much see this Pokemon being used in other future metal decks. Might as well Protective Poncho the Gholengo. We don't really need it, but just a little poncho for this. Keep wanting to say fried chicken. I don't know why. I have fried chicken in my mind. But Iron Supply. Next turn, Gholengo is doing a max of 200 damage on the board. Opponent evolves into Arboliva, healing 60 to any EX on my opponent's side of the field. But looking at this, it shouldn't matter too much because, yeah, Gholengo, if I can one-shot either the EXs and one of the non-EXs, it's GG. Rest in peace, Worm. Here we go, doing a max of 200 damage around the board. Gholengo will not get one-shotted next turn, so that's pretty nice. Gholengo won't get one-shotted my opponent's next turn, so that's pretty nice. Could place a Gimmighoul or a Chingling, but if my opponent does Sabrina, GG. So here we go. 5 energy attach, spending Rush. I want to feel that rush. Okay. Holy crap. All I need now is 1 point. Okay. That is nice. And Leafeon, this guy isn't doing much. Doing 70, so it will take this Pokemon 3 turns to knock out Gholengo. All right, opponent's healing. Opponent's healing all his Pokemon. Leaf Capes as well. This guy is terrified. But look at this Eevee, man. This Eevee's defenseless. Okay. So Leafeon and Arboliva, very tanky. But as long as I can do 80 damage onto this Eevee, it's GG. And okay, why? Dude, why is this? Everybody's just blue balling me, dude. My opponent could have still won. Very unlikely, but if they had an Eevee bag, they could have one-shotted Gholengo. I guess they didn't. But just let it play out, man. This is casual battle. Who cares? Like, I just want to see this guy. I just want to get a bit of satisfaction using this guy. Just stop blue balling me, please. Next battle, we got 2 worms. Leading with 2 worms. Hopefully we can get Gimmighoul out. If you don't get Gimmighoul out either your first or second turn, you're gonna have a rough time. Because yeah, I mean, looking at this, I could feed the Earthworm in the bench. That could help me out later on, especially if I do sub this guy in. But the main draw, of course, is to just keep on feeding Gimmighoul. So yes, this could be an issue if I don't get that Pokemon out right now. We might as well just do that. And Iron Supply, feeding Earthworm. Leading like that, my opponent can attack this turn if they get very lucky. They can evolve into non-EX Gardevoir. Mewtwo EX can attack. But most likely running the Mega version. Okay, nice. We got Pokeball. Please. 66%. I can't talk. Okay, you know what? We got it. Okay, I was gonna say 66% chance to get Gimmighoul, and we did. That's pretty nice. For now, I'm just gonna do this. Hopefully not run out of time. I have 45 seconds. Copycat getting a lot of value. All right, nice. We got Gimmighoul, Metal Core Barrier, another Lucky Ice Pop, Iron Supply. Opponent Lucky Ice Pops goes back into their hand. Looks very scary, but again, you gotta believe in this Golden Maniac. This guy has devious intentions, and he's gonna just basically Exodia my opponent's side of the field. Doesn't attack this turn, but that works to our favor because, of course, Gholengo just keeps on getting buffer and buffer. Might as well Metacore Barrier yet again. My opponent very much doesn't have to attack next turn, but if they do, looking at Mega Gardevoir EX, that Pokemon can one-shot Earthworm, so just in case, I'm gonna do this. Once again, Iron Supply. This guy's actually getting very unlucky. Definitely banking on getting Mega Gardevoir out. Has 6 cards in their deck, 7 cards in their hand. Here we go. Honestly, I'm trying to calculate this. I might as well play Chingling, just in case. Let's do this. Once again, feed. Iron Supply. Kirlia is out. And you know what? Screw this, man. Gholengo, this guy has waited for far too long. Because of Leaf Cape, we can just do this and just be super aggressive. So we have 7 energy attached, doing a max of 280 damage around the board. And if you can one-shot the Kirlia and the Rouse, that'll be huge, because this Mewtwo really can't do much. So here we go. 280 damage. Okay. That's actually huge value. So this guy's on the brink of death. Routes really can't do much, has no energy attached. Opponent does Diantha. That's a huge setback when it comes to energy because Mewtwo only has 1 now. Just continue to cook. You gotta love to see this. Perfect. Opponent doesn't surrender. Might as well Sabrina. Again, probably should have done this a couple turns earlier, but ultimately it doesn't really matter. You're primarily running Sabrina just to disrupt your opponent, especially early game. That could disrupt them a lot. 320 damage. GG. I'm already calling it. Look at that. Yeah. I'm gonna do one more battle, but yeah, this deck is a lot of fun. I feel like it does require a lot of RNG, but if you can get this guy built, then your opponent really can't do anything. All right, last battle going second. We need to pull another basic. If not, then Earthworm is doing nothing. Okay, we are going up against Blaziken. This will be very interesting, especially since my opponent is doing type advantage. Professor, please give me a Pokemon. Copycat. Copycat. On the bright side, we are doing chip damage to Torchic. The main issue is that this worm is doing nothing, man. Opponent evolves into Combusken. Cool, we got a second copy of Earthworm. We are forced to Copycat at this point, so Metal Core Barrier. Tempted to Protective Poncho just to guarantee me a higher chance to get the cards I need. You know what? Screw it. This should work. So I don't think we need the Poncho at this point. Could be wrong, we shall see. My opponent can definitely run, totally forgot the name, but there is a non-EX Pokemon that is Fire type that could do chip damage to the bench. Okay, nice. We did get a Pokeball. This is a guaranteed Gimmighoul. Perfect. All we need now is a Gholengo. So feed, Gimmighoul, Iron Supply. Opponent evolves into Mega Blaziken. Honestly, Metal Core Barrier is pretty much useless at this point because this guy does 160 damage, including burn damage. So, okay. Heals up. It should be good. So yeah, getting burnt. Very unfortunate. Earthworm does get knocked out. Sub in the second copy and just keep on feeding Gimmighoul. Nice. We did get Gholengo EX out. We might have lost. This is looking very grim, especially if my opponent does try to Sabrina. I could very much place this Chingling down to prevent that, but in a couple of turns, the same scenario will happen. Gholengo EX will be out, Chingling on the bench. If my opponent does Sabrina, they can instantly win. So I feel like this is the smartest choice right here. Interesting. Yeah, opponent only has Mega Blaziken out. Is this a 19 trainer Mega Blaziken deck? So we need 2 more energy attached onto his Gholdengo. Opponent one-shots Earthworm. Rest in peace. Yeah, this is pretty rough. We aren't able to one-shot Blaziken. Blaziken EX is doing a max of 160 damage, including burnt damage. So very scary, but we do have Metal Core Barrier coming in clutch. If my opponent doesn't Guzma, then I still stand a chance. This is pretty scary, so I can do Spending Rush. Only doing 160 damage, so Mega Blaziken will be down to 50 HP. Okay, GG. Yeah, this is actually a 18 trainer Mega Blaziken EX deck. Can't compete against this guy. Type advantage, burnt damage as well. This guy's unfazed. He doesn't care. Completely tanking that. This turn doing 200 damage. Might as well Lucky Ice Pop just to BM. Doesn't matter, I win, but it's nice to do that sometimes. Get my whole family out on the field. Let's pretend that I'm going up against Suicune Ex Greninja. Because again, trust me on this, that did happen in my first battle. And it was a sight to see. Okay, concedes. Alright, so before I end off the video, I just want to go over a very, very unique and specific scenario. So as you can see, we have Gholdengo fully built. Yeah, 27 energy attached. And you could run into the scenario in ranked, totally. It is currently turn 50. Just ignore the fact that PvP only goes up to turn 30. This is our last turn. Here we go. Sub in Gholdengo EX out. Opponent's using a very meta-relevant deck, totally. Charizard, Genetic Apex Charizard. It's actually been over a year since I've seen anyone play Arcanine EX. Gholdengo EX is doing a max damage of 1080. Here we go. Spending Rush. This will be an insane amount of damage. I really can't wait. Okay. Just like that, my whole opponent's board is knocked out. Getting 8 points, just like that. Yes, you can totally experience this in ranked. Yeah, which is why Gholdengo EX is the best. Very cathartic. You love to see this. Jokes aside, yeah, you're probably not going to experience this in PvP, but I just wanted to add this to the deck showcase to show how much fun Gholdengo EX is. And yeah, that was the Gholdengo EX deck showcase. This Pokemon carpet bombs your opponent inside the field and is overall a ton of fun. I feel like when it comes to other meta-relevant decks, this guy won't get much value. You can definitely make him work, but ultimately the damage is variable. After spending Rush, you could win the game, and inversely, you could just lose the game, not really one-shotting any of your opponent's Pokemon. Could possibly be very unreliable, and of course, with this deck, you do want to get Yumigul out as fast as possible and start feeding from there. And if you can't do that, then of course you are gonna lose. And depending on the deck that you're going up against, you might not be able to even build up Gholdengo EX. If you're going up against Hydreigon Mega Absol, your opponent can get very lucky, getting Hydreigon out their second turn going first, and just overwhelm you, not really giving you much time to build up Gholdengo EX. But ultimately a lot of fun. If you like playing this game for fun, then I really do suggest investing into this deck. As for Earthworm, I feel like this card could get some value, not only in this meta, but also future metas, especially if they do add more metal Pokemon that synergize very well with this Earthworm Pokemon. Overall, I'd rate this deck B tier. Leaning to B+, but again, I feel like there are far better decks, but this deck you're gonna have a lot of fun using. A great deck to use for solo battles as well as being rather fun in PvP. And yeah, that was the deck showcase. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. Hopefully you guys found this video informative and a little bit entertaining. I tried to be. And again, I really do appreciate it if you do like and subscribe. As a small-time content creator, it really does help me out tremendously. That was the deck showcase, and I'll see you guys on my next video. Peace.